Imagine the following things. There's leaves falling down in the fall on the ground. You giving a passionate kiss to your loved one. You eating food that passes through your intestinal tract. Or a load of sewage sludge or compost being spread on the surface of an agricultural field. So you might ask, what could these things possibly have in common? And the obvious answer is like, not much. But when you think about it, all of these things, all of the leaves or the compost or the food that you eat, or involved in the kiss, passionate kiss with your loved one, what that involves is an exchange of microbes. And it's more precisely, it's a meeting of entire microbial communities. So, for example, the leaves that fall down on the ground in the fall, they are colonized by their own endophytic bacterial and fungal communities. And as they fall on the ground, they will then encounter the entire soil microbial community. When you exchange a kiss, you also exchange, on average, depending on the degree of passion, maybe about 10,000 microbes or more. You eat food is also colonized by microbes, and then these microbes meet the microbial community of your intestinal tract and different parts of your intestinal tract. And of course, if you spread compost on an agricultural field's soil, that compost or sewage sludge is of course also completely full with microbes that encounter another set of microbes, namely that of the soil. And for that meeting of entire communities of microbes, there was no word. So we coined the term microbial community coalescence, or the meeting of entire microbial communities, for that circumstance when entire communities actually meet, rather than individual species, which is what ecology usually studies. Ecology studies interactions, of course, but usually interactions among species in a given community, such as a grassland or a forest. And so there was no word for that, and that often limits communication. So it's important to have sort of a tag for this sort of work, that is microbial community coalescence. And is this widespread? Well, you think about those examples I gave you, you might think that's probably pretty common, because all you need is basically a bit or a piece of the environment being moved that is full of microbes. That's pretty easy because bits and pieces of the environment that contain microbes are being moved by a great variety of forces all the time, such as gravity or humans moving them, or any number of forces that you can think of. And bits and pieces are very often containing entire microbial communities, because microbes are simply, they're just so small, so it's easy to have an entire microbial community in any little bit of the environment. So I think this is actually quite common. And so actually we were quite excited about this, because we couldn't really think how this could possibly, this mixing of entire communities could possibly occur with like bigger life forms like trees or animals, plants, because it seemed pretty uniquely microbial, because they're just so small, and things that contain entire communities can regularly move. So we thought, wow, this is a microbial theory, which is cool, because we like to learn about microbes, especially in the soil, but also otherwise. But then I actually read this paper that detailed so-called biotic interchanges, which is actually nothing different from microbial community coalescence, but at geological timescales. Such biotic interchanges have happened maybe 12 times or so in the last 25 million years in Earth's history. And probably the most well-known example of these biotic mixing is the appearance of the Isthmus of Panama. It's a little bit of land that connects North and South America. And once this connection had been made, then there was a interchange of biota possible from the north to the south and vice versa. And this is actually documented in the fossil record. And there you can have massive changes in community as a consequence of that encounter. And so this was pretty interesting because it seemed something that was uniquely microbial, and I'm certain it is very uniquely microbial still in the frequency with which it occurs in our time scale. If you think just large enough in terms of space and time, in terms of spatial and temporal scales, you'll find very, very similar patterns also for macroorganisms. And so this is actually pretty cool because I think sort of in parallel there were theories or concepts being discovered or debated in the macro world and in the micro world. But in the end, I think those theories actually coalesce. Oh boy, that video was something, huh? So if you liked it, don't forget to hit like and remember to subscribe to this channel. See ya.